like the scar of age, written all over.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My last manga animation tutorial I wasn't really a fan of, and I feel like I didn't really explain things super well. Also, I've learned Photoshop since then, and I feel like I can provide better examples of what you should do. Let's just get into it. I'll be explaining the key bindings I'm using on Photoshop and on After Effects as I go. First things first, open up Photoshop, put your picture into Photoshop, and now I'm gonna mask it out. I like using the pen tool, but there's a lot of ways you can do this. The pen tool is just P, by the way, on Photoshop. There are a lot of ways you could do this. Some people like to use quick selection tool, which is kind of like roto brush on After Effects, and this is kind of like what that will do. You see, like, kind of like roto brush on After Effects, but it's not super precise. Like, if you look over here, I'm missing a ton of stuff, and then when I try to get it, there's all these abnormalities, so I'm just not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to use the pen tool, take a little bit more time, but have a cleaner cut. If you ever see me moving around the canvas like this, I'm pressing H for the hand tool to kind of move it around as I'm going. So let's get this done really quickly. There are ways you can get pre-cut, masked out characters. Like, for example, on PixArt, if your character is popular enough, it's probably on PixArt, and you search through images there, most of them are PNGs, which means they have no background, it would just be the character. But those cuts aren't always super amazing, like kind of lower quality. Even after you upscale them, it's kind of lower quality. So I wouldn't recommend it, but if you want to do the lazy route, there are ways. I also want to preface, before we get into the trickier stuff, that anybody can do this. So don't try to convince yourself it's too difficult. Anybody can do this, and I'm a firm believer of that. I'm even gonna get the small hairs here, but usually I would just skip over stuff like this right here while making this selection. If you have a tablet, using the lasso tool to do the selection here is actually quite a lot easier than using the pen tool, and it'll be a lot faster as well. But I know that most of you watching this video just have a mouse and probably aren't on like the best PC build in the world, and that's why you're using Photoshop, because it lags in After Effects when you try to do all this stuff. Especially because you need to be in full resolution to get a good mask going. Now this little hair right here, I don't know if you notice, but it kind of seems abnormal to me. I'm just gonna skip it. There's no point in putting in parts that I don't really want to put in. And the reason I am zooming out and in is because I'll kind of forget where I am. So I kind of just like to remind myself how far I am in the mask. So I'll hold Alt to zoom out and in where I want to. So if I hold Alt over here, it'll zoom out from there. If I hold Alt over here, it'll zoom into there. Same over here. Just Alt and scroll wheel for that. Sorry I didn't explain that earlier, but you shouldn't need to do that. Alright, this part of the mask does not need to be as precise. There's a lot of dark area, so I'm going to kind of rush through this part just because I don't feel like spending too much time. And also, if you're feeling uncomfortable because you're new to After Effects, or vice versa, you're new to Photoshop, don't even worry, man. I'm new to Photoshop too. Definitely not new to After Effects, so that part will be explained a lot better. But, I'm also new to Photoshop. We're in this together, dude. Don't worry. Alright, I've completed the mask here. Once you want to complete a selection in Photoshop, you just press Ctrl Enter, so I'm going to do that right now. And then I want to duplicate this layer and get it by itself, so I'm going to press Ctrl J. I'm going to hold Alt and click on this eyeball icon, so it's just showing this layer. I'm only looking at this layer now. And as you can see, we have a really solid mask here. Like, not to glaze myself, but this is pretty good. I like this. I'd like to add wind to these parts here, but the reason that would be difficult is because his arm is both under and over this part of the coats. So what we could do is separate it into multiple pieces and have like this whole confusing mess, but I think I'm just gonna forget about that for now and try and figure out which body part I want to do first. I'm gonna duplicate this layer so we have this by itself, and then I think the first body part I'm going to do is the body. I think I'll do the body first. So I'm gonna want to move these arms. I'm make an outline of where this is right here. By the way, to get to your brush, that is B, and to change your brush size, I'm holding Alt, and then I'm holding right click and moving my mouse. Those are the keybinds for that. Then to draw a straight line, you just shift and click. Alright, we've got the outline there, and what I'm gonna do here is just coat this in this same shade of gray. Honestly, what I should be doing right now is using the patch tool. So yeah, let's do that. This is the spot healing brush. Sorry, not the patch tool, the spot healing brush. We're going to go over all the parts that we want to redraw. For me, it's like this area right here. See, it's kind of like putting the body there instead, which is nice. So yeah, let's go over that really quickly. Just this part. I'm just gonna focus on this part for now. And then we'll go ahead and fix that up. What I'd like to do is get this same exact texture going over here. So I'm going to use the clone stamp tool, which is S. You hold Alt and you click where you want your selection of the clone stamp tool to be. It's kind of confusing, but if I click in this area, I now can like duplicate that, like this whole spot over here. I can't go too far because of this thing, but we can just fix that up with this. I'll go through with the blending brush and the smudge tool afterwards to make this look better, so we don't have to worry about what it looks like too much right now. We're just gonna try to get that same shade going. I'm gonna connect this feathered part really quickly. Yeah, I kind of like how that looks under this part of the body. So I'm gonna repeat that process for quite a long time. I'm not going to talk about how I'm doing it because this part's kind of confusing, but this is what the mixer brush tool does. Kind of mixes the colors together, makes them the same shade. So I'm going to be using this a little bit, and then also the smudge tool for the kind of the same purpose, just smudges colors together. So yeah. So you see there, I used the smudge tool to achieve kind of that same vibe I was going for earlier. And right here I'm just going to draw a little bit of gray and then use the mixing brush tool to shade it. And then I kind of want to connect these lines. So we're going to go back to the brush and just do that. Alright, I'm liking how that looks right now. Let's go ahead and continue with the exact same method. The only issues, you know what, I'm going to do the easy stuff first, so that I can kind of see what I need to do, because there's so much to look at that my brain is kind of getting overwhelmed in this little area for the body. Like obviously I need to get rid of that. Obviously right here I need to get rid of the arm. I think it stops right here. It's okay to have these parts black because there are literal arms inside of them, so we don't really have to worry about that. The parts that I am worried about though are kind of like where the hands are. So let's go ahead and use the spot healing brush again. Get all of this stuff out of the way. And let's see if just one selection will do the trick and I can just kind of fix it up afterwards. The spot healing brush is kind of a lifesaver when it comes to doing more complex redraws. It does a lot of the work for you, so it's nice. Okay, that wasn't bad. That wasn't bad at all, actually. I really appreciate that redraw. The only issue is like these parts here. Obviously we need this chain to be connected and also not wavy. Again, I know it looks pretty bad from close up, but remember, we've got other tools to make it look better. Also from far away, you can't even tell that I just repainted that. So let's go ahead and use the mixer brush real quick here and kind of mix the middle-ish part of this. And let's blend it into this part as well. Alright, nice. I'm going to go ahead and leave that alone now and focus on the more daunting areas, which would be the fur. What I kind of like is that this is already a duplicated part, so that kind of gives me the idea that I'm just going to use the patch tool here, or the clone stamp tool. The only issue with this is that you see like the surrounding areas are getting affected as well, so we're gonna have to fix that up. If you didn't want to have to fix up the surrounding areas, probably just use the patch tool instead of the clone stamp tool, but I'm fine with it. I think this does a better job, so I'm gonna do it this way. Now I do believe that this arm is in front of this, so that's a little bit annoying. But right now, honestly, let's see what it looks like without. This body, as it is right now, is fine. We don't really need to do more because there's so much in front of what we have. So I wouldn't really be too worried. I think I'm going to keep the body how it is right now. I know it looks bad, but trust me, you don't really need to worry about that. All right, one more kind of adjustment for the body. You never want the head and neck to be attached when you're doing the body layer. What I mean by that is right here, we're just going to, sorry, I'm not trying to use the mixer brush tool, just the brush tool. Just going to add a little bit more shading here. Since it's black up here, it makes it easy for me. We're just going to fill this in with black so the head has more room to move. If that doesn't make sense to you now, I understand why it doesn't, but it will later. Or it will, especially if you don't do this. Now that we have our body layer, and I know it looks a little bit weird, we're just going to mask this out. The reason I did this on a duplicated layer, by the way, is because we don't want to mess up our original layer with paint. We want that to stay as the original cutout. So we're doing this on a duplicated layer instead. Now we do the same thing we did with the original layer. Control Enter, Control J. Double click on the name and rename it Body. So now we have our body layer. And we're just going to go ahead and delete this painted layer because we have what we need from it. Now we can do a multitude of things. I think that because the arms are on top of the body and those are next, we can just mask those out. I don't really believe that we need to do anything with the arms. If you wanted a more in-depth animation, I would recommend, masking out each finger, masking out like the forearm and then the bicep and then putting it underneath the body. That's a little bit more complicated. So we're just going to skip that for now and do it the easy way, which would be, just masking this out, kind of avoiding this fur here. And again, I have friends that like to use the lasso tool for quicker selections here, but I believe the pen tool is a lot more precise, and I just like it more. I like the end result more with the pen tool. So in this tutorial, that's what we're going to be using. It's not making your life harder. Trust me, it's making your life better. Don't worry about what other people are saying. All right, we have the arms. Control Enter, Control J. Just rename this Arms and put it above the body. Now we have the body and the arms. We hold Alt on these and click on them. We can see that we have the body and the arms. Let's go back to layer 1. I think the next layer we should do is the head layer. Thankfully for us, the ears are pretty fully exposed. We don't have to do much redrawing there. And there's not a lot of hair in front of the face. So what I'm going to do is duplicate this layer and start painting. I think that using the clone stamp tool here is actually a great idea. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for parts like here, for parts like here. There's a little bit of shading here. I'm going to add my own compositing in a separate tutorial. So I'm going to completely get rid of this hair shading here. Again, I'm going to go over this with the mixer brush and kind of fix all of the shading errors. So that's what you guys should do as well. After you do that, you shouldn't have to worry about anything really. Alright, now we can go ahead and use the brush tool to get out any imperfections. Like right here, for example, this piece of hair, I don't really want to use like a clone stamp to get this out of the eyebrow, so we're not going to do that. Over here, this head is disconnected. Yeah, it looks good so far. Just use the mixer brush in these kind of areas to... Ooh, you know what? That doesn't look super great. Let's use the smudge tool instead. Yeah, that looks better. I didn't do a great job over there, but I'm going to call that a day for the head. This is personal preference, but I like to cut out the head with all of the parts on it. Like, you know, the ear, the eyes, the mouth, the eyebrows, all of that stuff. I like to cut out the head with all of that stuff so that I can just take them off of the head layer. And that's how I've always done it, even in After Effects as well. So let's go ahead and do that. And then I'd go back to the head layer later, and I would erase or remove and redraw again. Right here, we do need a little bit of this hair. Kind of as like a base for where the other stuff is supposed to be. And then right here, we don't need any of it. So I'm going to include the ears as well. I'm not doing a morph, so there's no reason to detach the ears from the head. Nope, same deal. Control Enter, Control J, and rename it head. We can put that above everything we have so far. Delete this layer. Now we're just looking at the head. What I'm gonna do really quickly is just, I'm just going to snatch the eyelids off. Now, pay very close attention to how I mask the eyelids. I think this is the best way to mask eyelids to get a good blink. And later I will show you how to animate this, of course. So here's what I would do. And I just noticed something, a little bit of an irregularity here. Looks like I'll have to fix that up. It seems that I missed a piece of hair that went through the eyebrow here. Not the end of the world, I'll just fix it up afterwards. You need a lot more upper eyelid than you do lower eyelid, so that's why I'm not really doing as much here. There are some things in the way that I kind of just want to avoid redrawing and masking out. So I'm just going to do this. Control Enter, Control J. There we go. Eyelids. Okay, that's what those look like. Head, arms, body. Now, if we wanted to move his eyeballs as well, we would have to go and mask these out. And then, you know what, I'll just do it really quickly. These need to be under the eyelid layer. So Control Enter, Control J. Eyeballs. Go back to the head layer, and now we need to make his... I don't remember what this part of the eye is called. Not the iris. We need to make his eyeballs completely whited out, or his eyes completely whited out. And I'm just going to do this. Get kind of the color I need in the places I want it, and then shade it in afterwards. And then we will get the mixer brush. You know what, I'm gonna redo this. I'm gonna use the clone stamp tool. Looks much better. I'm not gonna worry about that top part. That's kind of what you need to do for the head layer. Now you've got the head, the eyeballs, and the eyelids. Now the part that should take the most time is the hair. The reason I say this is because, I mean, look at this. He's got so much of it. He's just got so much. I'm going to make a new layer. And I'm going to start by doing the hair that is behind his head and ears. This stuff right here would be behind. This stuff is also behind. This stuff over here is behind. We're just going to start off by doing that. So I'm going to go ahead and redraw that really quickly. And this redraw does not need to look good. Do not worry. This part does not need to look good at all. You know what we could actually do? Let's use the spot healing brush and go through all of this. Yeah, like this right here, this is fine. I'll go ahead and mask this out, and I'll name this under hair 1. The reason I'm naming it under is because I want to know that it is under the head instead of on top of the head. Obviously, you'd be able to figure that out pretty easily once you put it on top of the head and we're like, what the hell is this doing here? You would kind of realize, but I just want to avoid the trouble completely. Control Enter, Control J. Under hair 1. I'm going to repeat that process for every single piece of hair that is underneath his head. So this is what we have so far. All of the parts we've cut out. I'd say it's looking pretty good so far, but we still got a long ways to go, and that's mainly because of the hair. I think we've only got we've got 2 more pieces of hair that need to be under the head. So, really quickly, I'm gonna go ahead and redraw those. Okay, that's pretty much done now. Yeah, so let me look and see what it looked like before. Just see kind of what I want to go for here. Yeah, that's fine. So we're going to go ahead, mask this out. I'm going to repeat this process for every single other piece of hair, so I'm just going to hard cut from here. If there's anything important, I'll make sure to include it, but I doubt there will be. Okay, I found a little bit of a reason I should record again. So I got to here. I've got this many hair pieces now, and the next part I want to do is just this giant chunk at the top. I'm not going to split it into strands because it's the top hair. What I will do is get rid of these 2 here and then split those into strands, but for just this part at the top that I've already outlined. I'm just going to do that all as one piece. Okay, I've gone ahead and I did the rest of the pieces of hair. So what that looks like, here's the body, here are the arms, and this, which again, if you wanted to do a more in-depth animation, I would recommend separating all of these as well, including the fingers. Then we've got under hair 3, under hair, which I spelled wrong. Let's go ahead and fix that. Under hair 3, under hair 2, under hair 1, and then we've got the head, we've got the eyeballs, and we've got the eyelids, which doesn't change anything. Upper hair 1, upper hair 2, upper hair 3, upper hair 4, upper hair 5, and upper hair 6. Now if you'll notice, there's a little bit of a blank spot right here. The reason that that's there is because it's just black behind there. So what I'm gonna do really quickly is I'm gonna create a mask right here, and then I'm going to press Control Enter, and then click on this layer option to add a new layer, and just do this. Then I'm gonna press G for my gradient bucket, and I'm going to fill this with just black. Black piece. Now we know this goes under the head, so we just need to put it under the head. And I would honestly go as far as to put it under all of the hair as well. So with that, we can go ahead and look through all of our pieces again. And let's press Control D to deselect that piece. Go ahead and look through all of our pieces again and see if we have everything we need. And it looks like we do. I don't think I'm missing anything, other than the fact that this part to this part needs to actually be under the head. Okay, that looks right to me. So except for, okay, which one is this? Upper hair 4, I believe. This needs to be under this, so I'm going to drag it and put it under upper hair 5, which is right here. Now that looks correct. Actually this time, even though this part is technically wrong, and I'll show you what I mean. This part is supposed to be over it. If we really want to fix that, we're just gonna have to drag this all the way under both of these as well, which would be a little bit weird because it's now under the head. But you know what? I mean, it works, so we could do that. Yeah, I mean, we could do that. That's fine. And this is what our final product will look like, all split up in all of these parts. Now I'm gonna press Control S and save this as, well, I didn't save it that entire time. Finland photo. Make sure you're always pressing Control S because I cannot believe I just did that. Save it as Vinland photo, and then in the next tutorial, I will show you how I animate these parts inside of After Effects. That'll be a quick one. All right, peace out, guys.